Hello and welcome back to the Punchers Chance podcast and welcome to the preview show. But it's not any old preview, it is a special one, not just because it's a bit of a domestic dust-up, but because it's the rematch of the fight that is the inception of this podcast. So we have these two men who despise each other to thank for this podcast.
Talking about me and you then as well, mine.
No? Well, yeah, that as well. It's quite fitting as well. Ben's not here, obviously.
Yeah.
Me and you talking about this fight, the first time it happened is the reason we're still sat here today, unfortunately. Fortunately. What do we make of the fight? And obviously the card as a whole.
Well, listen, when did we start this podcast? What was it?
October 23, I think.
Exactly. And so it's been long overdue that we're finally back to talking about these two going at it. And look, it's a belt of a scrap, ain't it? It's a scrap. That's what it is. It isn't a fight. It's a scrap. And I look at it and we've always talked about what can you take from sort of the press conferences, the face-to-faces. These two despise each other. So there's no love lost between them from their first fight. Almost, nearly 80...
Over 2 years ago.
Over 2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
It's early in the morning with my maths. But no, listen, it's a great fight. I'm happy they're doing it again. I just hope they deliver on Saturday night because I feel like when we talk about fights that got fireworks, which everyone is sort of kind of going down the route of with Wood and Warrington, sometimes it doesn't live up to the hype. But the way they're talking to one another, I feel like, it's going to be good. It's going to be a cracking watch.
Yeah, like you say, it is obviously the kind of spite is real, but also I think the fact that they both are now coming into this fight off a loss.
Yeah.
Well, Josh Warrington, I think, had wins in between, but their big fight is that loss to Cacace. And at the point of where this fight was looking like it might happen, Leigh Wood hadn't fought since that fight in October. And Warrington would have just lost to Cacace. So at that point, it didn't make sense. Wood still had the belt around his waist. Warrington had kind of fallen away a little bit, was talking about retirement. Obviously, it looked like he was going to retire after that show in Wembley. And then now that Wood's lost to Cacace as well, it just kind of makes sense again. It was kind of like we were talking with Joshua versus Fury, that maybe the timings, they're not at their best, but actually the timing works out because they've kind of met at a crossroads now. I'm really looking forward to it. I think I was saying to you earlier, the only thing I have as a gripe on it, and I think the fact that I'm wearing the shirt I'm wearing probably... I was about to say, you're not very... For people that are listening, he's currently wearing a Leeds United Football Club shirt. Yes.
I thought you were meant to be a journalist.
I am, yeah, but
so, where's the impartiality? Josh
is the vast majority of the reason that I have kept an interest in boxing for as long as I have. Obviously, there was the people of Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury's, the big names that you watch, but then Josh fighting Ellen Road, bringing out Leeds players, things like that. It kind of kept me in the loop. And then now, obviously that first fight, it hurt. I remember watching it in my uni house and I was thinking, he's doing so well. He's doing so well. And then Wood lands that one shot. And I've got nothing against Leigh Wood. I was upset at the decision at the time, but
that's the thing though,
the best man will win.
Through 7 rounds when they last fought, Josh Warrington was doing everything he needed to do. And he was doing it to a T. He was so perfectly over those rounds. And then out of nowhere, really. And Leigh Wood, listen, is it harsh to say he's made a career out of it with, the Conlon fight as well and now the Warrington fight? You can never count him out of any sort of fight. But yeah, that was a brutal way to end what was a decent performance. But, they're both older now. Both have got a lot more rounds. Who's got the more mileage as well through the last couple of fights? Josh Warrington, of course, at Wembley, put his gloves down in the ring, and I think we spoke after that fight that we thought, he's doing it right. That's the perfect timing, going out at Wembley Stadium, fair play. You've had a cracking career, like you touched upon, Ellen Road, beating Lee Selby, as much as it pains me to say it. But yeah, look, I think for Josh Warrington, this fight is all about how much has he still got left, because I still think Leigh Wood's got a lot to offer, especially in the division they're in. Because I think the winner of this could really push themselves a bit more closer to a world title fight, maybe.
I think that whoever wins this fight maybe proves they've got one big fight left in them after that, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say,
They earn the right to roll the dice one more time, and whoever loses this one probably hangs up the gloves. And
hope.
You know, there may be a world in which they both hang up the gloves after this one and this is their kind of final hurrah, or they might both not. You know, we'll have to wait and see.
Maybe they do a trilogy, you know, and then they do rock, paper, scissors at the end of this fight.
We saw the Matchroom promo, you know, them hating each other long into their 60s and 70s.
God, what would we look like if we had to do that?
God, what? Ben, Christ, you know.
Yeah, well,
he would be, much like today, he wouldn't be with us, I don't think, unfortunately. He's getting on a bit. But
Ben.
no, so I think, you know, like you say, these kind of fights, no matter what, they almost never fail to deliver because...
Oh, you said it.
No, because the hatred is such and the tension is such going into the fight that you celebrate every little punch, or you anticipate every little punch like it's the knockout shot. And, you know, it could be catching gloves, it could be punching elbows, and you're thinking, oh, he's got him hurt there, and you kind of get lost in it. So I think this is a perfect main event to a Matchroom card, and it's probably the best Matchroom domestic show we've seen in a little while, which, you know, I'm really happy about.
Well, I think the best Matchroom card that we've seen since probably the Monaco one.
Yeah,
probably.
I'd say so. And domestically, it's probably the best one we've seen in I can't think of the last time.
But the thing it's in Nottingham. So you talk about that then, about the punches landing, you get a bit excited when, you know, Warrington may land a right hand that puts Leigh Wood a little bit on the back foot. Leigh Wood's going to have the support of the home crowd, ain't he? You know, it'd be interesting to see how many Leeds fans are there to support Warrington. But I think for Leigh Wood, he has to be the favourite in this fight, surely.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think he comes into it off a loss to Cacace, yes, but going into that fight with much more stock than Warrington went into his fight with Cacace. Warrington was on a 2-fight loss. Yeah. With Lopez and then Wood and then Cacace, and then has had a little comeback fight in between. Whereas Leigh Wood has only really lost to Cacace. Yeah. We know how good Cacace is. He's proven Cordina, Warrington, Wood. He's that guy.
I still got an asterisk next to that Joe Cordina fight.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, you know, he's proven that he's a problem, and he basically. He basically gave Wood nothing in that fight, and eventually, I mean, he showed unbelievable toughness in that one, Wood. So yeah, I think he has to come into this the favourite, obviously, but I do think it's a fight that any man can win, either man can win.
The other thing as well is when you're looking over the fight, I don't think it goes the 12 rounds or 10 rounds that is scheduled. I don't think it goes. I think it's a bit. It could play out similar to the first fight where Warrington starts strongly and then perhaps Leigh Wood grows into it and gets the job done. Or Josh Warrington from round 1 to round 4 just absolutely blitzes in, you know, doesn't take a backward step and just wipes the floor with Wood, and we get a massive trilogy.
Maybe. I don't know.
Do you think there's rounds in it then?
I think it depends how it goes.
Okay.
I don't necessarily see Warrington being able to go in there and stop Wood in emphatic fashion in the same way that we know that Leigh Wood can. So I think if Warrington's to win this fight, it has rounds in it and maybe even the distance. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns into one of those fights where they both give too much too soon and then it's just kind of a slugfest, but neither men have the power left to hurt one another. But realistically, you know, Warrington has been hurt in the last couple of his fights. We know how Wood can hit, so you marry that up, and in that sense, they're very much could be very few rounds in this one. I just think
you hope as well that there's rounds in it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Sort of, well, domestically, there's been so many decent fights since that first meeting that we talked about, you know, whenever two British fighters go up against one another, you know, that you get that extra 10% to be better than your opponent. And I feel like both of these men don't even need that. Because of how much of the hatred is there. I think it makes for a fight where you're on the edge of your seat because at any moment you feel like one shot could switch the lights off, or it could be like a changing of the momentum of a fight. Could be, you know, Warrington lands a shot early and then Wood comes back. You know, it's just got the ingredients to be a cracker. Hopefully he lives up to it. They've had enough build up to it. I feel like Matchroom have spent a lot of money in sort of promoting the fight, which they didn't really have to, because if you're a boxing purist, you're probably going to...
Yeah,
exactly. And it's the same with the undercard. The co-main event... Oh.
See, the co-main event is a fight that I think probably 12 months ago, boxing fans would have gone,
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Ishmael Davis has had some unbelievable performances, to be fair to him. When you look at, what the likes of Madrimov and Josh Kelly have done since his fight, one's a world champion, one went toe-to-toe with Terence Crawford, and he was in those fights. As a last-minute call-up, he was still in those fights till the very last second and came close to winning both of them in the late...
Josh Kelly.
Yeah, in the late stages of it.
Example.
So I think from that point of view, Ishmael Davis, despite having a couple losses on his record, has risen his stock somewhat. And then Bilal Fawaz has obviously, in so many different ways, captured the hearts of boxing fans. His story, his performances, his demeanour, his style, all of that. This is a really great this is the textbook co-main. If you were
100%.
If you were going to write a dummy's guide to boxing matchmaking, this is the kind of fight you'd say, this is what you stick on the co-main.
It's the sort of fight that, if you're going to the fight night and just watching the main event, you're not going to get your pint or get a hot dog before the main event. You go in to get in for the co-main event. And I think, listen, Fawaz has got a brilliant story. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't really know who Bilal Fawaz was until he fought, who was it? He fought Jordan...
it was Boston, wasn't it?
Janae Boston, yeah, bloody hell. I didn't really know much about him, but thank God, he had those performances, and thank God that the decisions went his way in the end, and he rightly deserves it. If anyone says he doesn't rightly deserve it, then I don't know what you're talking about. But what a story, what a fighter, and you need characters in British boxing, and he's that character that you need. And yeah, I think a bit like the main event, it's going to be good. It's going to be good for however long it lasts as well. Because I feel like both men have got a point to prove, especially Fawaz as well. Because I'm not being funny. If you go back a couple of years, do you reckon he would have thought, he'll be fighting for a title?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
And look at him now. So he's living the dream, if anything. And
I mean, I think there's a reason to there's a reasonable point to suggest that Fawaz probably didn't know if he was going to be living in the UK.
True.
A couple of years ago, let alone if he was going to be fighting for a British title.
That's mental, mind.
Yeah, which is great to see. The other thing is, and I'm going to go back to it again, and I'm going to mention it later on, where's Ishmael Davis from? He's a Leeds boy. Stick it in Sheffield. Come on now. Do you not think it is a bit weird that this feels like a
Leeds United podcast?
No, do you know what? Well, maybe. It feels like a Yorkshire card that's been placed in Nottingham. Yeah. And I know that's not a million miles for fans to travel, but
yeah, but you know why they've probably done it.
Because Wood won the first fight.
Yeah.
And so he earns the right to fight in the Nottingham
Wood's A-side, and Wood probably was playing hard to get and all that.
Yeah. All of the above.
Yeah.
But it does feel like a card that was wanted in Sheffield with Dave Allen.
Leo Atang as well, Yorkshire.
Yeah. And I mean, it just feels slightly odd in that sense. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this as a co. We always say that British titles rarely disappoint. You put a British title on the line and then people find a sort of 6th, 7th, 8th gear to kick on in a fight.
The reason is because a lot of people, the first time they fight for that British title means so much to them, because the British title for a fighter, probably like Bilal Fawaz and Ishmael Davis, that's their world title fight. This is their world title fight, I feel like, for British. Especially, we speak to a lot of domestic fighters here in Wales, and they always talk about the one aim that they've got is to fight for a British title.
Yeah.
That's like their boyhood dream from being an amateur. Conor McIntosh, prime example. He's got, hopefully, a British title fight coming up in his next fight. He's the prime example of, he's not focusing on world titles. He knows where he is as a fighter. He wants that British title. That Lonsdale belt's got so much history and all. And like you said, it gives you that extra 10%. You wake up in the morning and go to training, and some days you're like, do I really want to go out and do that 5-mile run, or however miles they run, some fighters, more than me, I know that. But with that British title on the line, it gives you that extra 10% to work harder because of the benefits that it comes with it.
Yeah.
Because what is it, 25 grand for just fighting for the belt?
Yeah, it's a minimum. And just like the history, it's steeped in history.
Yeah.
it's a cool looking belt. All of the above.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, out of all the belts you can win,
it's
the British belt's like the one.
It's the one I want. And obviously, as a very old clip on the podcast suggests, my distant relative, first man to win it outright. So there you go.
Look at that.
I'm sure either of these men would be hoping to do that. But either way, this is one of those great fights where I don't really care who wins because I love both of them equally. I'm happy for whoever wins. I think Fawaz, I think he's got a bit of Eubank about him outside of the ring. He's got a bit of Naz about him in the ring. You know, you just think, put your hands up for God's sake. Yeah. But you know, he's got all this kind of fun stuff around him. But then Ishmael Davis is just he's a British boxer. You know what I mean? In the most pure sense, he's a British boxer. He's the definition
of one, yeah.
So I think either man that wins that,
I think it's the same for the main event. Well, for me, it is anyway. I don't care who wins.
I won't be unhappy if Josh Warrington loses that fight. Sorry, I'll be buzzing if he wins it. But if he loses it, I think Leigh Wood's.
I'm trying to think of that meme where the guy's smiling and he's holding back the tears. And,
Either way, this is some great fights on it, and Dave Allen as well getting back into the ring off the back of a Makhmudov loss. Obviously, Makhmudov's managed to step in there with Tyson Fury next up, but Dave Allen's getting back on the. Are we happy about that? Are we hoping that we? I feel like it feels a bit like Groundhog Day with Dave Allen. Sometimes you go through these cycles of he's finished, he's coming back. This is his big moment. He disappoints slightly. He's finished. He comes back, and as you kind of end up on this cycle, and we're in that that upward curve again.
We are, and I feel like for Dave Allen, as much as you wanted him to win against Makhmudov, I think deep down he knew that he wasn't going to get the victory because he was talking about having an 8-rounder around this time of year and then going in potentially trilogy fights with Johnny Fisher or fighting one more time for a title or something. So it always felt like he knew his path. But like you say, it's been such an up and down career. It's been a literal roller coaster ride. There's been some highs. There's been a hell of a lot of lows for Dave Allen, especially, some of the fights against, Fraser Clark was one of them where he wasn't the best of watches and you thought, how much does Dave Allen really want to be a fighter anymore? And then, he had those two fights.
I got the same sense in the Makhmudov fight. It just felt like like he had more to give.
I don't know, because I feel like Makhmudov, the range and, the awkwardness of fighting someone that's taller than you and especially the power that's coming back. He's still got a hell of a chin, mind, Dave Allen.
Oh, big time, yeah. I think we saw, actually both times against Fisher, that when Dave Allen sort of came to realise he had the upper hand, and it kind of happened after 4 or 5 rounds in the first fight against Fisher, and it happened a hell of a lot earlier in the second one. He kind of had this second wind, and it kind of felt like he could throw until the cows came home. And then against Makhmudov, it kind of was just like, come on then, let your hands go a bit. And I understand it's so easy for me to say, sat here, I don't have to do it. I'm not getting punched in the face. I haven't done the rounds or any of the above, but the talent he's got. And I think that's the frustration as a fan is you want him to show that talent, and he doesn't always do so, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. You look back and some of the shots he's had, some of the fights he's had, that Nick Webb knockout back in the day. Oh my gosh, incredible fight.
And he doesn't mention it either.
No, he doesn't. No one does. I think that's what every fight that when you talk about Dave Allen, you always go back to that fight. But now he's got that knockout against Johnny Fisher and rightly deserved to win both of those fights. And I think that sort of brought him back into boxing, especially where, you've got an up-and-coming British heavyweight fighter who's probably glass ceiling is a British title fight, saying he's going to beat him and everyone's writing you off. So he's had that motivation. But, you talk about a lot about Josh Warrington being from Leeds and all. He's fighting a bloke. So I used to live in France when I was younger. He's fighting a bloke from my hometown in France.
From your neck of the woods.
From Clermont-Ferrand. So if there's a bit of bias in the main event, there could be a little bit of bias in my fight.
You're going against Dave Allen in this?
No. He's 12. I think he's 12-10. So I think Dave Allen's going to comfortably win.
But how would you feel about an upset? Because
can I just say, Cardiff?
I really like
at the moment. Cardiff is currently still full of French people.
It is, yeah.
From the rugby on Sunday. I think there'll be celebrations in Clermont-Ferrand if he did win, and ASM could maybe bring him out and all that. But I'm just happy that Dave Allen's fighting again, and I think this is the sort of last hurrah for him, maybe, because I think you can't be having losses like that against Makhmudov. Certainly at this point in his career where, that's adding a lot of mileage to the clock. And I feel like he gets through this. Johnny Fisher trilogy, maybe, if it's there, if he wants it. I don't think it's the right fight for Johnny Fisher, but it makes perfect sense for Dave Allen. So I expect him to get through this fight in flying colours on Saturday night, but I want to see him maybe one more fight, and then that's it for me.
If I was Dave Allen's team and he gets through this one, I am moving mountains to try and get him in line for a British title, finish on a British title fight. But I think we're looking at getting Jamie TKV, Richard Riakporhe. I think it's looking like it's going to be the next British title fight. And I think both of those guys represent a tough fight, don't get me wrong, for Dave Allen. But a winnable fight if he gives one of those performances that we know he has given at points, then I think absolutely winnable. So from that point of view, it's kind of like, that's the aim. If you can get through this, roll the dice that one last time. And then
great chance in those fights as well, man. I think Dave Allen.
Absolutely. So that's the plan there. And then on the bottom of this card, we have Sandy Ryan as well, which we'll talk on, but there's a sort of trio of prospects. And one of those, it feels weird calling a prospect in Molly McCann, because obviously she's had a great career of her own outside the boxing ring. But now obviously into the boxing ring. TMA Ayton, young fighter we've talked at length about.
Huge.
And then Leo Atang as well, who is a special talent. Those three fights are fights you expect, obviously, the home fighter to win. But you don't really mind that if you really like the prospect, do you? That's kind of the feeling when you watch a prospect.
I think it's a little bit contradictory now, ain't it? That we talked about last week with the Queensbury card being a bit like, but there's a bit of investment here for these fighters, especially Team Ayton. Yes. I feel like, especially in female boxing, and Megan Redstall, is it? She won. Yeah, she won on Sunday night on a top
from around the Bristol Commonwealth. Yeah, she's from Westbury, which is Wiltshire way.
Okay, so maybe not around Bristol.
Yeah.
Sorry. She's got a perfect opportunity here now, Team Ayton, and she's continuing to build nicely. And I feel like a lot of people are making the comparisons to Katie Taylor. I don't understand why people do that, because that's putting unnecessary pressure on a fighter to live up to someone that's so great. She's got the potential.
I suppose it doesn't help, though, when Katie Taylor's giving you the seal of approval, but share the same manager. It's sort of...
If I'm Team A8 and I'm going, thank you very much, but I can't be listening to this. I need to be, tunnel visioned, and the goal remains the same. And she said in an interview with us, she wants to fight Ashton Gate.
Yeah.
Ashton Gate is a dream, and I went there the other week. It's a big, big stadium, and if she continues to build and build and build, picks up titles, fights the likes of Megan Redstall and all that, then she's got an opportunity to maybe have a homecoming. I don't think she'll go to the boxing venue in Bristol Underground at the galleries to fight anytime soon, but there's opportunities there for her. But again, with Matchroom, they've got some decent prospects. Leo Atang's another one, heavyweight fighter. There's, again, comparisons to Anthony Joshua's and all that. Let them be at this stage in their careers. I think that this stage in their careers is all about getting the experience, the rounds, gradually making those steps up. Leo Atang's got a step up opponent, I feel like, in Dan Gardner on Saturday night. Of course, Gardner, I want to say, fought Vidal Riley at one point.
He's fought Hughie Fury, Vidal Riley. He's had a couple.
And I think he took Vidal Riley some rounds as well, or my...
I can double check for you if you would like. Bear with us just one moment. I felt like the guy in the Joe Rogan podcast when he's always like, get up that, get the clip of this niche thing.
The stat man is Sam Hill. Sam the stat.
He got stopped by Vidal Riley. Also got stopped by Moses Atoma, but he's water wet sort of.
How many rounds are with Vidal Riley? Because I've
2.
Oh, okay, so I got the wrong.
Barking up slightly the wrong tree, but both of these fights, both Tiah and Leo, they're notable step ups. Garber's a fighter that's got a winning record. He's beaten opponents. So again, it's just building him up in the right way. With Tiah, we've said this, the trajectory that she's been on and the wins that she's picked up in the manner that she's picked them up, it's been mighty phenomenal. I think in her debut, it was a woman who's never been stopped. She stopped her emphatically. A couple of fighters later, just in her last fight, she's beaten a girl by stoppage that gave...
Was the last one the
Fran
one
Hennessy a few...
At the Indigo in the O2?
I think that rings a bell.
Yeah.
But she fought the girl that I think took through 2 or 3 rounds off Fran Hennessy, and she stopped her. And in this one, it's another fighter that's beaten Shannon Courtenay on a points decision, I think. So these are people that have ability, have winning capacity. It's not pushovers. And at the moment, so far up to this point, she stopped them.
Yeah.
So I think, like you say, if she can get through this one again in any fashion, let alone in the same fashion she has previously, then I just hope that Matchroom and Eddie Hearn are willing to just loosen that leash a little bit and go, have a go at a British title, have a go at a Commonwealth title, which is what Megan Redstall has around her waist. And like we said, that kind of Southwest derby from someone who sort of resides in that neck of the woods, having 2 West Country accents on a presser stage would be entertaining, if nothing else. Yeah. So I hope that happens and big things. And again, Leo Atang, I think it's more a manner when you watch these kind of fights and these kind of prospects, you're thinking, how do they win this fight? Is how you base off their performance as opposed to whether they win this fight.
Especially with these two as well, it's when they win it as well. I feel like a lot of, because of the power they have and all, I'm excited for him. And I think like with Leo Atang, again, he's like the sort of fighter that is getting that experience. He went over and fought in Ghana. He's becoming active, and people are already making a fight that's going to be years down the line, you hope, when, potentially if they both have world championship belts, him and Atoma, right now makes no sense whatsoever. But in maybe 5-7 years time, that could be the Fury AJ in the future.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, people talk about a heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Sort of falling apart, and we haven't got the fighters we used to have X, Y, and Z. But that's 2 fighters that in like you say 7-8 years time are going to be in a great place. You look at the likes of Fabio Wardi, Daniel Dubois, who are fighting. Dubois going to be mid-30s by that point, very much in still a heavyweight fighting age.
Don't blink in that fight. As it's advertised as well.
Yeah, so I think British heavyweight boxing
is in a good place.
He's still in a pretty good place. I'm not saying it's in its golden generation. I'm not saying it's at its best it's ever been. Because there'll be plenty of people in the comments that'll
go after him,
take a pick at my age, which is fair, But
how old are you again? 32. This
23.
Week?
23. Yeah.
I'm around. Sorry.
No, I'm a young buck. But so I think there's plenty of excitement to come, and Leo Atang is just one of those.
Predictions.
Yes, is it on the Boxing News app? Have you got it loaded up? It's
so
not.
We got it. So no chucking your phone this week. I think everything over there's safe.
We'll do that. We'll just have to do it.
Go off our top of our heads.
Old school as
it doesn't count anyway. Can we just say that because Ben is not here, our predictions this week do not count.
Fair enough.
Towards anything.
I can back that. So we're going to start off at the bottom of the card as it appears on BoxRec, which is Dave Allen's fight. How are you expecting that one to finish? In a question mark number of rounds.
Yeah, I think it's dependent on how many rounds. So if it's 6 or 8, I think it's going to be 8 rounds.
We'll pretend it's 8.
Dave Allen points decision.
I'm expecting a Dave Allen stoppage. Okay. I think we need a Dave Allen stoppage for this one.
Fair play.
Leo Atang, Dan Garber.
Leo Atang stoppage.
Yeah. I think Leo Atang stoppage. Also, fun fact for you here, if you were to combine Leo Atang and Moses Atoma's age, it would equal Dan Garber's age. So there you go.
Wow.
He's lived.
Look at that. Come to the Punches Chance podcast.
I told you I was the stats man. Yeah. I was just getting.
How was Dan Garber then? Like
40. 40. Yeah. So there you go.
I don't know what's more sickening. Leo Atang's. How old's Leo Atang?
19.
Oh, unbelievable.
Molly McCann, Beta Dudek. It is a super bantamweight 6-rounder. I'm expecting another Molly McCann points decision.
Yes, I agree.
TMA Ayton versus Catherine Tacon Ramos, 8 2-minute rounds. It's got to be a TMA Ayton stoppage, hasn't it? I think. It's a tough opponent. Don't get me wrong.
It's a tough opponent, but I'm just looking at the quality of the sort of opponents that she's been in with, and she's the number 1 bantamweight in Brazil, mind. Beat
Shannon Courtenay on a points decision, who at a point in time was considered one of the better female fighters we've got coming through.
I'm not going with your theory of South Americans, particularly Argentinians. She's Brazilian. TMA Ayton will get the stoppage win.
Yeah, it was. I did have to check the flag. I saw the name and I thought, is she Argentinian? No.
Yeah.
Okay, no stoppage. Sandy Ryan fighting for the WBC vacant super lightweight title against Carlo Ramos Zamora. We didn't really preview this one because I think I expect Sandy Ryan to get through this one. Probably, I'm going to say a points decision win.
Points decision,
But that feels harsh that we haven't really previewed that too much because there is some great fights out there still for Sandy Ryan, I think.
Especially she's coming, I think she had that loss against
Michaela Miles.
And then came back and won. And now she's fighting for the vacant belt. So it's, for a fighter that's only recently lost as well, to be fighting for a world championship again is good going. And yeah, it's going to be a decent watch. But Bilal Fawaz, Ishmael Davis, this is where now, if you got a coin, you're flipping it and you're just going with that.
For me, this is two fights that are head versus heart a little bit.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. I would love nothing more than Bilal Fawaz to win by us, and win that British title fight but Davis, you can't count him out. And it makes for a good fight. I'm going to sit on the fence because our predictions don't matter this week. Draw.
I do see it.
Bilal Fawaz loves a draw as well.
I think Fawaz has got this kind of style where his opponent is always a little bit in the fight.
Yeah.
But so's he.
Yeah.
Regardless, I feel like you could put him in against anyone.
But his last fight against Sinead Boston, he was...
Yeah, exactly. He was
all
over it. But like you say, there's a sense of inevitability about Ishmael Davis sometimes in a fight, and he's got the power. I think Fawaz has got a great chin. I'm filibustering here because I can't actually come up with a prediction. I'm going to go for I am going to go for a Fawaz points decision win. I think he's going to pick up enough in the first sort of 3/4 of the fight, and then he'll have the chin to see himself out to the end.
I've just had a message off Ben, and he's going Ishmael Davis.
Just
to balance it.
But I think it's going to be a tight. It'll be a round or two either way, and then the main event: Leigh Wood versus Josh Warrington. I'll let you go first. You go first. Ladies first.
Right. So Sam is currently pointing something at me right now. I'm not going. I'm only joking. Josh Warrington. I would love. I do like Josh Warrington, even though he did beat Lee Selby and haven't really forgiven him for that. I think he's had a great career, but. No, forget that. Josh Warrington wins.
Wow. Bye. So you said this hasn't got rounds in it, so you're going to have to...
It has to be a stoppage then, yeah. I think Josh Warrington stops Leigh Wood. I feel like he'll be going out there with a point to prove, and I think, he gets a stoppage win early.
Yeah, this is really difficult because there's a real sort of mental thing about being a Leeds fan where not like you always want
you couldn't tell.
You always want your team to win, but actually deep down you fully expect them to bottle it. At every point of my life, I've been expecting Leeds to eventually let me down, and I watched us lose at Wembley. I had to watch Josh Warrington lose at Wembley, but that doesn't stop me. I'm going for a Josh Warrington points decision win.
Here we go.
I think it's going to be...
Ben will go Leigh Wood.
I think it's going to be a sort of... if you remember the Frampton fight where Warrington just threw caution to the wind and went toe-to-toe with Carl Frampton, and everyone said, what on earth are you doing going to toe-to-toe with Carl Frampton? His dad was telling him in the corner, why are you going toe-to-toe? That was not the plan. All logic went out the window. I think the same's going to happen in this fight, but... I think he'll see it out to the end. There'll be a few hairy moments, mind. There will be. Yeah. I back it. You got to go with your heart, haven't you? Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you don't. You go with your head a lot of the times.
I'm normally logical, but I'm going to be emotional for once, and I'm going to back Josh. And I do generally think he can do it.
I think the thing is, I think you should be recording your reaction as well.
I can do that if you want. Yeah, I can do that.
Just to see raw reaction. Just in case.
No,
both of us are wrong and something bad happens.
I think he can. I absolutely think he can win it. I think this is either men's fight. I think they're both at a stage where you go, either man can win this fight on the night. They've got nothing to
lose, have they? Neither man have got nothing to lose, only everything to gain from it.
Yeah, the only thing you're kind of, well, for me anyway, the thing that I'm kind of basing it on in my head is, will Leigh Wood land that one shot? Because if Leigh Wood lands that one shot, it doesn't really matter too much who stood in front of him. I think he pretty much will get the stoppage. But then Josh Warrington, we've seen able to kind of pull out performances when you maybe didn't expect him to do so. So we'll have to wait and see. Let us know down below if you guys have a thought on this.
It's good to have boxing back this weekend as well. I don't know about you, but
little double
last
header
Saturday
as well.
night, I was
Felt lonely.
It did.
I mean, I it's a bad thing because it was Valentine's Day. I really hope Soph doesn't listen to this. If you are, you don't listen to this. It's fine. She ain't listening.
Don't panic now. I'll be the balance.
I'm panicking now.
You just repeating what I was saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It did feel odd not to have boxing on. So we've got later on in the week we're going to be previewing some stuff from across the pond. Our good friend Ryan Garcia is getting back in the ring. There's some great fights happening, and our even better friend Clarissa Shields is getting in the ring.
Right, let's end the podcast now, shall we?
It's going to be
Cut.
Defamation Roulette, the next preview episode.
Cut.
So I'm just going to try and I might have to have a little calm down before it. But if you like the sound of that, then obviously stick around, follow us on Spotify or subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening on one of the platforms, then audio's on Spotify, videos on YouTube, up to your preference. Or you can do both at the same time if you so wish. Otherwise, we're on all across your normal social medias, all that good stuff. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all later in the week.
Punches chance. Punches Chance Podcast.